We're continuing on with the 2023 hype as we proceed with episode 3 of season 6 of Why I Want. Let's head over to a guy who is not in the spotlight at the moment. A guy who isn't actually one of the top picks. Okay, he's probably a top pick, depending on who you ask, but he's slipping down the draft boards, and he's having a draft season that a lot of people, myself included, are somewhat disappointed to see, but it's not really the guy's fault. It's mostly a product of circumstance, seeing where he is in this year's worth of play, and his draft stock is suffering because of it. Let's head over to a team that is not participating in the World Juniors, and instead go over to HK Sochi. We're talking about a prospect whose name has been linked to Connor Bedard ever since 2019? It's been a while, and this is a guy that was supposed to be the Ovechkin to Connor Bedard Sidney Crosby. He was supposed to be the 1B, debatably the 1A. Where Connor Bedard was the flashy center who could do it all, this player was the goal-scoring machine who could just pot it from anywhere. Let's head over to Russia and talk about Matvei Michkov. Now, as we said, Michkov is not participating at the World Juniors right now because Russia doesn't have a team. There's some stuff going on in the world right now which caused the IIHF to not allow Russia to participate, and as a result you have kids like Matvei Michkov who are suffering because of it, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the player instead of the situation here. Michkov is in a very strange spot, because this player, 18 years old, 5'10", 148, as a right-wing, left-handed guy, is signed till the end of 2025-2026 with SKA St. Petersburg. The thing is, he's not playing with SKA St. Petersburg. Instead, he got loaned over to HK Sochi. Now, just to make things clear, Michkov did play for SKA St. Petersburg. He had 3 games played over there, but he had 0 points. This was mostly because he was used in a very limited role, not getting any minutes, virtually speaking, and not really being given much of a chance to do anything. Instead, he had spent most of his time so far in the SKA Neva St. Petersburg system, which is the AHL version of SKA St. Petersburg, wherein he had 14 points in 12 games played, 10 goals, 4 assists. Now, this in and of itself is incredibly impressive. If you go over to the VHL in its entire history and you search by U19 players, you can see that Michkov and his overall points per game is 3rd overall, behind 2 guys that only played 2 games the past few years, Igor Chinakhov and Arseny Gritsyuk, and he is outproducing other players who had top draft spots as well, like Vitaly Kravtsov, Valery Nichushkin. If you scroll far enough down, you'll see Vasily Podkolzin, Grigory Denisenko, and if you go to goals, take a look at U19 goal scorers in the VHL. Michkov is 5th overall in total, despite only playing 12 games. Now, I know you may be thinking, oh, that's all fine and dandy, like he's producing well against other Russian players in the VHL, but the VHL isn't really the biggest talent pool for drafting players out of in the first place. Sure, it's impressive, but you kind of need to have a sophisticated understanding of hockey leagues, how the VHL and the KHL system work, to actually know why it's impressive. And so, when Michkov was loaned over to HK Sochi in the KHL, a lot of people in the scouting community said, hey, this is going to be a great opportunity for Michkov to get some top 6 minutes, because Sochi is not that great of a team comparative to SKA St. Petersburg. He'll actually play a role where he can produce, and if he's scoring goals and producing points at the KHL level, that's going to put him on the map a lot more than his VHL production. And then, HK Sochi took their top point scorer and sent him over to SKA St. Petersburg. Cam Robinson sums up Matvei Michkov's year nicely. He's going to have to John McClane the rest of the season. One kid against the world. And so far, Michkov has 2 goals in the 4 games played that he has. Now, I get it. You may be thinking, Lego, this Why I Want is off to a rough start. You had a lot to say about Bedard and Fantilli. Michkov, you're just kind of talking about how his draft season is not all too great. And this is where we change gears and go over what he has done. Because when Matvei Michkov was playing at different international tournaments for Team Russia, he was absolutely dominant like we had not seen before. Just 2 seasons ago, playing for the under-18 squad, he had 12 goals and 7 assists in 12 total games played, outproducing Shane Wright and Connor Bedard at that year's U18s. This season, you saw Wright and Bedard absolutely take control of the tournament for Team Canada, but Matvei Michkov was the guy who had more goals than most players had points. At his core, he is a volume shooter who can snipe the puck pretty much from anywhere. Suiting up for Team Russia, he also scored a Michigan goal at one of the tournaments that he had participated in, and last season, if you take a look at his MHL production, so the junior league in Russia, he had 22 goals in 22 games played flat, which is absolutely phenomenal. Like, I cannot understate how good of a production rate Michkov has when it comes to being able to score goals, and his Dobber Prospects report kind of goes over and highlights that so. A generational goal-scoring talent who is a threat from all over the offensive zone. His quick and accurate release, along with his elite offensive vision, should make him a star in the NHL whenever he arrives. The reason it says whenever he arrives is because, as we had said, he's signed till 2025-2026 with SKA St. Petersburg. The only reason he's playing for Sochi right now is because he was loaned over there. So this is very interesting, seeing how a player can get loaned from one KHL team to another. It's like, you know how some NHL teams can loan players to AHL teams. Imagine if you could loan a player to another NHL team and have that player play for that NHL team while being under possession of your own. It's a very strange system. If you go over to the Dobber scouting report from September 2022, Eetu Slitinen goes out there and highlights it very nicely. The story behind Michkov is a tricky one. He was long considered to be a challenger to Bedard for the first overall spot, but he's probably a lot closer to names like Fantilli and Carlsson than Bedard. He spent last season in Russia, where he has a contract for the next 4 seasons, and that will probably impact his draft stock. He has already played a ton of games against men, even at the national team level, and has played pretty impressively there. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing him in the international tournament scene this season for obvious and unfortunate reasons. If Bedard is already an NHL-level goal scorer, so is Matvei Michkov. He might not have as powerful of a shot as Bedard, but he releases it quickly and is deadly accurate. He also has a unique skill of scoring goals from seemingly impossible angles and situations on a consistent basis. Basically, he doesn't even need a scoring chance to score. He has incredible puck skills and has also mastered the lacrosse move, or whatever you want to call it, and will probably score it at least once this season. Michkov is not only a goal scorer, though, as he has a very versatile offensive toolkit. He can build a rush, deke players out, or make a great pass. He can control the puck in the offensive zone, and is constantly looking for free space when off the puck. It probably goes without saying that he is an excellent power play weapon as well, a real dual threat. If something is a bit concerning, it's Michkov's defensive game and small-ish figure. He also doesn't play bigger than he is, unlike Bedard. Even with those slight concerns, he'll be one of the top players in this class, and he could hold on to the second overall spot on the draft boards all season. Speaking about those draft boards, he is currently ranked as a consolidated ranking number 3. EP has him at number 4, Future Considerations has him at 2, The Hockey News has him at 3, Bob McKenzie at 2, McKean's at 4, Button at 5, Sportsnet at 4. You can see that he's sort of ranked in that 2, 3, 4, even as low as number 5 overall by Smart Scouting type of range. He's probably going to go somewhere in the top 5, but if you had asked people at the start of this season, they probably said he should have been a top 2 lock. It's just the unfortunate circumstances with the lack of international play and his up and down nature in the KHL to the VHL back to the KHL on an inferior team where he is pretty much the lone wolf. You got Matvei Michkov dieharding it out here as one guy against everybody else, seemingly everybody else, in his draft-eligible season. At the end of the day, this is still the guy that the Olympics themselves named was the next coming of Alex Ovechkin, a label they gave to this guy 2 years ago back when he participated at the Youth Olympic Games. If everything pans out with Matvei Michkov and he fulfills the potential he has, he could be a 30 to 40 goal scorer in the National Hockey League, assuming he comes over, as soon as, let's say, 2024, 2025. He could be that freaking good that quickly, and In his prime, he could be boasting up multiple 45 to 50 goal seasons consistently. It might be a disappointment to see him only get 35 to 40 goals by the time he's 23, 24, 25 years old. This is how good of a prospect he is. It's just unfortunate because he doesn't really have the stage to show that off. So talk in the comments your thoughts about Matvei Michkov and the draft season he is having, how good he is, how much you think he's going to slip in this year's entry draft. I thought he should have been second overall, and a lock to go there, but, I mean, if you take a look at Fantilli, Leo Carlsson, they've overtaken the reins, and so for Michkov, he only has more to lose in this situation. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.